Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Bogey Proof. We got a special episode for you guys, sort of like a half and half friend of the program, sort of your normal Bogey Proof episode where we talk a lot of golf and look at last week's tournament and preview the future one for this week. But we got our buddy Paul Murphy on the line here. Paul, say hi to everyone out there and let us know what you're sipping on and where you're calling in from.
Oh yeah, how we doing? I got a back to basics, Bud Light. Nothing crazy. It's been a long couple months for me working. Just gonna get back in the groove. Just a couple Bud Lights.
Hey, we appreciate a Bud Light here at Bogey Proof. And it doesn't have to be anything special. Fontaine drinks the IPAs. We need someone to keep it classy and
Keep
bring
it
us back to
simple.
our roots. But are you
Yeah.
you're in Boston?
Yes, I'm in Boston. Little.
Oh,
So Paul's coming in from Boston, out little not out in the burbs, but little Boston borough. Fontaine, what are you sipping on? And you finish, you ready to you play a little golf, ready to get down to Florida? What's going on with you?
oh yeah. So I got a little back east ice cream man going tonight. My guy downstairs had these. Was kind of surprised to see him. I don't know. I guess West Hartford's kind of close to, the Western Mass vibe where these are kind of from. But we, yeah, I mean, Paul is joining myself and Eric, who's couldn't join tonight, but he's joining me and Eric. We're going down to Florida in about a week now, a week and a couple days. Gonna go play golf for about 4 days, 5 days, 6 rounds, whatever it was. I think we've mentioned it before, but yeah, Paul's gonna join us, and looking forward to getting out of this cold ass weather with all this snow and playing a little bit of golf.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a great plan. I'm doing quite a bit of the same. Just made my trip down to Texas, so come to you guys live from San Antonio and a little tequila margarita mix and some water. That margarita mix just a little too sweet for me, so
Gotta
had
cut it.
to had to tone it down a little bit with a little water. Um, but we got lucky. We made the drive down from Chicago on Saturday and Sunday and avoided kind of the cold snap that happened here in Texas. Um, couldn't get any groceries when we got here on Sunday. There was no food at the store, but sent one of my roommates for the next month out on a Monday about 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we were able to get a full shop in. So doing well. Weather's beautiful. It's been 75 the last handful of days, so nice little combination of leaving the windows open, being able to have breakfast and lunch out on the back porch, and if you're not too busy at work, throwing your laptop out there and working under the covered patio has been a nice little change of scenery. Uh,
Not too shabby. I like
yeah,
to
no,
hear
it's great. I'm excited for you to get down here once you make that little golf trip, come here and hang out with some of my buddies here from Chicago. But big news today. We're doing this podcast here on Tuesday night, and Tiger Woods car accident here this morning in Los Angeles has kind of been overwhelming both the sports world and kind of just normal news world as a whole. What do you know kind of about what happened? It looks kind of bleak at the moment. Obviously, seems like he's in stable condition, but as far as the future and all that doesn't look so great at the moment.
Yeah, tough news today. Kind of came through. I feel like around like noon or so over here. But yeah, really scary. Honestly, at first, all you really kind of heard was like, "Hey, like solo accident, like early in the morning, whatever it may be." And then from there, like you just kind of then after that, the picture of the car leaked, and that was not pretty at all. And the more and more stuff came out, kind of the more unknowns that were there. And then finally, maybe an hour or two ago, we finally got news from the sheriff that was kind of first on the scene that, he's in surgery. He's in stable condition. The surgery is really focused on his legs. His legs sound like they got pretty beat up um, via the accident. And at this point, I think we're just thankful that one, Tiger is stable, and two, that nobody else was either in the car with him that could have got hurt, or that he didn't, the car that he was in didn't, crash into anybody else on the road. And really kind of fortunate that nobody else is harmed, or the fact that Tiger's even still alive and in stable condition based on that car picture is pretty miraculous itself. So all things considered, super scary this morning, super scary kind of for a few hours there today, where it was kind of tough to find information or like at least a legitimate source of information. But all things considered, I think we're in a pretty good spot now with news that he's stable, and then the fact that, his accident, nobody else was kind of harmed, and, the path that his car took this morning. Because going through some of the stuff you see on Twitter and kind of the news clips you see here and there, like his car went across all over like through a median, across the road, down this ravine looking thing. Like it was moving. So really thankful that nobody else was really harmed during that.
Yeah, that's kind of where I fall really at the end of the day. I think good news as far as nobody else being involved and Tiger Woods still being with us. And I think we don't really know a whole lot right now as far as toxicology report or any of those other details as far as, what kind of caused this and why this happened. But definitely just lucky that no one else was involved and no one else was injured through what happened. So I think we'll kind of, as we learn more and when this podcast airs, I think we'll probably know a little bit more by Thursday coming. But I just think it's probably best not to think too much about it or really, read too much into it. And when we know more, we'll kind of analyze the situation and see what's going on moving forward. But, this happened on Tuesday. Let's go back to Sunday, Genesis Invitational. Max Homa, the LA hometown guy, got it done. I didn't watch a ton of golf throughout the week, but had an opportunity to watch on Sunday afternoon and watch him play just lights out down the stretch. Honestly, outside of that little miss putt, played great. And definitely, I think he's one of those guys that it's kind of almost become a West Coast killer the last couple of years. Had 3 top 10s last year, playing in the West Coast events, and then has played well again this year. So kind of finding a little bit of a home in those events, understandably so, being a Los Angeles guy, but definitely someone you can root for. You're rooting for Homa. I know Eric got a nice little bet. So that was nice to see, and the Bogey Proof staff finally got a win. Paul, did you put any bets in this week? Did you win anything at the Genesis?
I did not. I gotta start getting more involved with this. With being the winter, I don't know. It's tough for me to really dive into golf. I got a few other sports that I got my eyes on. Once things loosen up in April, come Masters time, then I flip the switch and really dive in.
Yeah, understandably so. I've been making quite a bit of cash live betting the UConn games because they just have UConn men's basketball has a tendency to get behind early and then cover the spread. So if you're looking for a hot team to fall behind early, expand that spread, and then lose by like 6, UConn's your team. So watch out for them. I don't know if they're playing this weekend.
So we get a live play late second half or something and really boost it.
Yeah,
okay, I got you.
Yeah, you just kind of take a quick look and see what looks decent. But yeah, Max Homa, big win. Couple well-known players also kind of right in that top 5 as well. Tony Finau. I mean, the guy is just. There's something wrong. I don't know what it is. He played great, and it was tough to see him lose that tournament. But he's just struggling to get it done. Fontaine? What are your thoughts on kind of Tony Finau and what's happened the last month and looking forward?
Yeah, a little different path for him with this one. Like you said, like awesome Sunday. I think it was 64 on Sunday to get into that playoff, which Riv was playing super difficult, and like it's just an all around really. You can't take any holes off out there on that golf course. It's just like a really solid golf course that makes you pay attention everywhere. And he shot 64 on Sunday, which I believe was the low for the day. So not the usual kind of be in and around the lead and just have a very mediocre Sunday to finish third. More of he went out and got it on Sunday and then just couldn't make that last putt on the playoff or whatever it may be to kind of close the deal. So all in all, same result that we probably could have penciled him in for a top 5 this week or a second, whatever you want to call it. Just a little bit different path. I mean, he played so well and made all those putts that he kind of usually misses down the stretch, like on 17 and, throughout that back 9 and even on the front 9, I think he shot 31 or something. So really awesome Sunday, but on the playoff, I mean, 8 feet on 10 and about the same on the 14, I think was the second playoff hole. 10, I mean, you can't leave that putt short. It's a putt to win. It's an 8-footer for birdie. And he completely, like, he tried to lag it in and it went right across the face of the hole. Like, it's one of those slippery downhill left to righters, but when, like, eventually you got to make a putt to win a tournament, and that was it. And on the second playoff hole, you just saw it from Max, almost a pretty similar line right before you. And I think he kind of got excited and felt like he knew the line and gave it a little extra pop, and then probably overcompensating from the hole before too, and just kind of hit it through that break. So all in all, awesome Sunday. But again, we could have penciled him in for a T2 or a top 5 this week. It's just the made it a little more dramatic this week than most.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he responds. I think the last handful of times when he struggled on Sunday or played okay, it's kind of like, it's a learning experience and continuing to kind of be in those positions and figure out a way to win. I think it could go two ways. It's either, hey, he's kind of figured out how to get it done on Sunday, or at least push forward a little bit and play his best round of the day on Sunday, and maybe he's going to use that forward to get a win, or hey, he's just finding ways to get second places and fifths or whatever the case may be, and he's just struggling to get it done. But we'll see how it goes. Another person I just want to call out, he finished third this week, Sam Burns. The guy he's been all over the leaderboard the last quarter a year. I mean, going back to Houston when he was in that last group in Houston, came out and played well at Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
I mean,
real gritty too. I mean, you could tell like he wasn't shying away from the moment on Sunday or even Saturday when the conditions were really brutal. Like he might not have executed as well as he would have liked, but you could tell like he wasn't shying away from it. Like it was a gritty, gutty kind of performance. He just didn't have the A game on Sunday that he needed. I mean, he was like early Saturday, kind of before the wind got crazy. He was like 4 or 5 shots ahead. He was kind of running away with it and just kind of ran into some difficult conditions. And I think getting put with DJ in that final group on Sunday, I think just added a little bit more pressure that he didn't need, being going for his first victory on the PGA Tour. I mean, DJ for the last 6 months has been a superhuman. So it's like, and even, all the pregame shows leading up to it, like DJ was 3 back and he was the favorite to win going into the day. Like you don't usually see that a lot. Obviously DJ's number 1 player in the world. And like I said, superhuman the last 6 months, but I think that might have impacted him a little bit on that's last Sunday. He came out and played a pretty solid front 9, but down the stretch on the back, I think he just kind of caught up to him. It was just too much of a mental grind from the beginning. I think he just kind of lost it towards the end.
Yeah, I think what impressed me too, and he's done this, a handful of other tournaments, he hits the ball hard. It doesn't look, he's just got a lot of speed. Similar to our friend of the program, Paul Murphy, just gets after it with the driver, fiery out there on the golf course and just rips into the driver. I think it's fun watching him because he doesn't really, honestly, he just kind of rips driver everywhere. There's not a lot of laying back. Yeah. So I think, but that's kind of the modern young player, right? Like I see it even in kind of our age group, not that we're playing overly high level competitive golf, but right, driver's kind of the easiest club to hit in your bag. And if it's somewhat open and it somewhat fits the shape of your shot, you're probably going to hit it. So it's kind of fun to watch him, and he takes some corners and is aggressive. So looking forward to watching him a little bit more. I think too, Riviera was just fun to watch. Like you said, tough golf course, firm conditions, the wind picked up. I think it shows off every year as one of the best golf courses on tour. And hopefully in the future, once we can get back out there, maybe we make a trip to the Genesis Invitational. I think that would be a fun little weekend out in LA and go and see a cool old golf course.
City of Champions, Max Homa, Lakers, Dodgers.
Yeah. I kind of I know they had some interesting weather over there this weekend, but it seemed like they kept the greens puttable, but they were still firm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So going into the greens, you still had to think about it. It wasn't just a complete wedge fest. I mean, yeah. Max had that great shot on 18. I mean, but also, what was that drive he hit on 18 and 17, the distance of them?
Bombs.
Like, it's just like these low bullets, too. On 17, that drive on 17.
Deep. Both of them.
The thing, even though he had wedges though, like they still took a big bounce, right? Like a good 3-4
Yeah.
feet in the air, and then kind of came back a little. Like that's more like I think to your point, Paul. Like they at least have to think about that, because if they fly it pin high and it takes that bounce and then it catches the fringe, it gets stuck there. Versus he
Yeah.
lands it a few feet short, takes a bounce, and has a chance to come back a little bit
Yeah.
more. Versus just the complete when it's soft or whatever it may be, they just stick right next to the hole, and these guys just pick a number, hit it all day. So I think it was pretty cool to see, like you said,
They got that perfect middle ground
yeah.
between, the John Deere and U.S. Open. Right in the middle is that sweet spot,
Yeah, no, I agree completely, Paul. I think we need more events like that on tour, though. We need courses with slightly firm greens, and the greens were fast, but they weren't crazy, right? The Riviera's greens are pretty undulated, so they were very fair. And we saw people making putts, but if you had to come in the back door, you had to come in the back door. That's the line that it takes.
Yep. And I think the upcoming Florida Swing has some good courses that do that too. Like Honda always has a similar vibe where it's got that they're I don't remember it being overly soft there. I think, Riviera is a good way to start that kind of different vibe or more middle ground golf course where you're not wedge fest, but you're not pebble Tory with like the thick rough and the brutal green, like you said, it's that good middle ground where I think it's a perfect entertainment factor where it's not a snooze fest and too easy for these guys. But it's also not like you're just watching them gouge out a rough all day. So I think Riv is a great way. Riv is probably the peak of that, but I think it leads into some good ones coming up as well.
Yeah, it's no TPC River Highlands. It's there's a lot of birdies to be made at TPC River Highlands, TPC Boston. So it's definitely not one of those courses. Not that we don't love those two, being New England people, but definitely a different experience. But as far as we want to get here into the friend of the program, Paul. He's frozen. We're going to have to edit this piece. Dang. Okay.
Let's do plug the social.
Sure. Fontaine, could you let everyone know here at who listens to Bogey Proof how they can see all of our content across multiple platforms?
Yep, of course. So as usual, we got Bogey Proof tweets. Usually running that thing. I've been a little slow. Definitely missed last weekend, a majority of it. Work has been beyond ridiculous the last couple of weeks, but hopefully that's in the past, and I'll be able to kind of dive in and be a little bit more efficient on the Twitter. Bogey Proof Graham, you see a lot of cocktail videos, swing videos, all sorts of good stuff on the Instagram. We got the Bogey Proof blog site, YouTube Bogey Proof, Twitch Bogey Proof, and then obviously wherever you get your podcast, but Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, all those main ones. We're out there to listen.
Yeah, no, creating a different experience across all the platforms, but obviously the overarching theme is similar. So give us a listen or follow on all those different applications, and slide into our DMs on Twitter. Fontaine will answer you. Slide into our DMs on Instagram. If you have a swing video that you want us to give you a couple of tips on, Joey's taking the lead on those, and I think we've had some good movement on those, and people really have liked that thus far. So send in videos and send in comments, and we'll get back to you. Just any sort of interaction, I think, makes for better content on our end and a better overall experience. But going to the friend of the program, Paul, we just want to kind of understand a little bit about your golf journey. Kind of take us through, when you started golf and, where kind of golf sits in your life right now.
Well, I guess, sorry for the technical difficulties too here. I don't know what's going on, but growing up, I mean, my dad still plays, he's a pretty good golfer in his own right. So he was always playing all the time. And it got to the point when I was like 6-8 years old where I really started to play more. I was able to swing clubs, stuff like that. And he was always trying to get out there and play, but older sister, myself, not the easiest thing to do growing up. And my dad would always give the nudge like, hey, Paul, go ask your mom if we can play golf or if you can go golfing. And that was his excuse to get out and practice and play. And he used me basically for his own gains on the golf course. And I kept on playing, and then got to college or got to high school. Played on the team there. Family was able to join a course that was a mile away from my house. So I was really just going there every summer, just hanging out there for 8-10 hours a day, whatever it would be, and just chipping, putting, playing 36 holes in a day, whatever it could possibly be, and just hanging out there. And that's when I really got into it. It was probably going to like my sophomore year of high school, and just haven't really slowed down since. Just caught the bug, I guess, as they say, and just, yeah, gone on.
Yeah.
Everybody gets the bug.
Yeah. No, I think,
Yeah.
All three of us here listening, me, you, and Matt have been lucky enough to spend quite a bit of time together on the golf course and at school, and spend some time doing some traveling together, and also just a lot of, fun Saturdays at school. So I think we kind of have a unique relationship, just three of us. So we're glad that you wanted to come on here and chat with us a little bit. Golf's a big piece of it, but a lot of what Bogey Proof is just kind of buddies getting together and wanting to spend time and catch up. And it's been great for us to do this podcast and kind of create this experience, and glad you wanted to come on board. But
yeah, thanks for the
couple quick rapid fire questions. I think this will give the listeners a little bit more insight into kind of golf and your life and just a few other things. Favorite golf course?
Can I ask a question? Do we have to have played it, or just
let's do best golf or favorite golf course you've played, and then maybe one that you've like experiencing or wish you could play.
Okay. Went on a trip to Ireland a couple of years ago. Played this little links course out in Dingle. Cian Shabale. It is, over there in Ireland, we're playing all like the kind of the higher end courses, the Ballybunions and Lahinch, big name courses, and we stumbled into also booking this course in Dingle, and it is just like, it was true like links, like blue collar guys go there. They're rolling out of the farms, they're heading over to Dingle, this Conchabale. It's out on the water, like in this farmland, and it was just awesome to be there. You have all the mountains around, water, wind coming off the coast, and it was just like the clubhouse may have been like a 2-story colonial home. Like, it wasn't anything spectacular at all. Like, there's holes and sheep were running across the course. Like it was, and stuff like that. That was probably like, that's probably my favorite course. Although it's not,
did you hit a sheep with that stinger of yours?
No, I've made some swing changes. I'm getting the ball in the air now off the tee. It's weird. Yeah, no, I didn't. I did not. I think I would have been yelled at as an American for doing that. I would have, because also that part of the country too, they're speaking Gaelic a lot too. They're not speaking English. So it's, it was.
Hey, did you, don't they like, well, is Murphy like the true Irish, or is there like another kind of extension of the name Murphy that would be kind of the more authentic Irish? Yeah, Murphy. Yeah. So hey, I mean, you fit in there with a name like Murphy. You're in good shape. But
yeah,
favorite cocktail or beer?
I'm gonna go with Cape Cod Blonde.
Wow.
It's just, they have it on tap at the courses I play down the Cape, and it's just the go-to. After 18, 7 a.m. tea time, getting off there at 11:30 before heading back to the home, getting lunch, and continuing on the activities for the afternoon. It's just the Cape Cod Blonde, a couple of those, and it's perfect post-round beer at Dennis Pines Golf Course.
No free ads here, but Cape Cod Blonde, Dennis Pines, great experience. Anything else, let's just say current hobby activity outside of work that you got going right now that you're really involved in?
I mean, just during this quarantine in the winter, not doing a whole lot. I've been diving deep into the Call of Duty scene.
There you go.
Yeah. I guess that's my big activity and hobby right now is just jumping on the sticks with the boys, having a few beers Friday nights, just just getting after it.
I love it. I gotta get into that. We gotta get our Twitch going more. Once this busy season ends, I'm gonna start creating more content.
Yeah, we need to create some more content over the Twitch platform. So you talked a little bit about Ireland. So I guess let's stay away from Ireland, but I'm gonna say dream trip. Maybe golf's involved, maybe golf's not involved. Kind of, once this quarantine's over, where are you headed?
I mean, I've never been down to Pinehurst, but I feel like it's such a. I don't like to fall into like the social norms with these things. I like to be kind of outside the box thinker. Honestly, I would love to go into like Phoenix and Scottsdale, spend a week there, and just find. I mean, of course, you got to mix in the stadium course out there, but just bang around courses around there. I feel like it would be so cool to play in that desert type atmosphere. The dry air and the ball just sailing. I love that. That just fits me.
Let's pump the numbers up. Let's
exactly. Yeah.
Let's hit the 8-iron 215 a couple times. Let's feel
exactly.
good.
Yeah.
I was down. Speaking of just like hitting it in the ball pretty far, whatever. So we were at the range on Sunday here in San Antonio, and nice range, but like I was on a little bit of an upslope, so I was hitting the ball to the absolute moon, and I was like, it wasn't going that far, but it looked like I was hitting absolute bombs with the driver because the ball was like
straight in the air.
The ball was in like 14 degrees launch angle right there, and it's just like, and it's the practice balls too, so like they sound like you just pump them at all times.
Yeah,
like they're just a little bit firmer, so it's like a hard hit when it hits it. So, but yeah, we're playing this weekend, so both Saturday and Sunday. So hopefully the driver is decent out there. But minimum temperature you will play golf in. I always think this is kind of an interesting question for kind of understand how much it's not really about how much you love golf, but it's like, are you willing to go out there when it's freezing cold to play some golf? What's the minimum temperature you play in?
Is there snow on the ground?
The course is playable. I
don't know if there's a limit. I don't know.
The limit does not exist.
I don't know. When do you freeze to death? Like when does frostbite kick in? I don't know what.
I gotta imagine sub 30. Anything that's not flushed, your hands are broken. Like anything that's not flushed, because if you can't chunk it, because you can't put it in the ground because the ground's frozen. So you'll break your wrist there, or if you try and pick it clean and you catch it on the bottom groove, you're gonna have a stinger all the way down to the back of your spine.
Well, now you're forced to play your best round of golf ever.
All right, make you a better player.
Yeah.
It might just have to like break out like an old set of graphite shafts or something just like that's just like is soft and you can just hit it nice and smooth.
Yeah.
Out there in the cold.
No. But I think I could probably go like 20 degrees if no wind. If it gets down to the teens and windy, I'm out. Then I start watering and
yeah. Once the eyes go, you got no shot. But I agree with you. I'm out there when it's below freezing if the course is playable, and nothing related to golf, but mountains or beach. I know you're a big Cape Cod guy, but what do we got?
See, I'm a big Cape Cod guy, but I'll go beach. I'm not a big beach guy though. I like the beach bar scene more than the beach itself. I have nothing against the beach. It's the process of going to and from the beach. Packing the car, getting everything there. If I can just go to the beach, like backpack a few beers and walk there, I'm in. But if I have to pack a car and deal with like 4 other people, I'm out.
Too much sand.
Yeah.
No, I agree. There's nothing. I love being in the mountains with like all the different opportunities you can to do things like go on hikes and good views and stuff like that. But as far as sitting your ass on a bar stool with the sea breeze, with, being right there, if you really want to jump in the water, but I feel like once you get the second or third cocktail in you probably got no shot of moving.
Couple mudslides, watch out.
Oh my gosh, yeah. After 2 or 3 drinks, I'm not leaving a bar anytime soon at a beach bar. So I'm there for the night. Leave my keys at the bar. I'll get them in the morning.
Smart man.
Hey, I agree. It sounds like a time, and we got to do it soon. When I'm back east for this summer, we gotta find some time to get down to Cape Cod and play a round or two of golf and get down to the house, Paul.
For sure.
Yeah, but all right, let's do a little preview of kind of looking forward. We got an interesting week this week. We got 2 golf tournaments being played. We got WGC Workday Championship. It's the fact that Workday just hopped in there.
I'm sick of Workday. They're everywhere. Enough. The commercials, the Phil and that guy, like, enough of Workday. It's all you hear about. Workday and the Players Championship. That's all you ever see for commercials. Sick of them.
Yeah, so Workday just slipped in there and to sponsor a tournament that's not even at its normal location. So it's an interesting situation, but we got the WGC Championship at Concession this week. So a new golf course that really no one knows about. I think Bradenton, Florida. A lot of the tour guys probably have played it in passing, but really probably only once or twice. It's known for being the most difficult golf course in Florida as far as rating goes. Had an NCAA championship there back 2015, I believe, was the NCAA championship. The year Bryson DeChambeau won that and then won the USAM at Olympia Fields. But I think it'll be interesting. We don't really know too much about the golf course. It's never been on TV outside of that NCAA championship. So we're kind of learning, just like many of the pros are. I think WGCs are interesting too, right? We would think there would be unbelievable fields, and yeah, we have some studs and some of the top players in the world, but we also have some people that just find their way in just based off these interesting qualifications that they have. So, we have a lot of people from Asia, from Europe, from South Africa, from the Japanese tour that find their way into a WGC event just based off kind of the standards that they create to create a worldly event. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Do either of you guys know much about the golf course? Paul, do you know anything about Concession really?
I know the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Which I think is very similar to pretty much every golfer that's going to be watching this week. I know Matt and I talked a little bit about the NCAA championship that was there off air, but besides that, we don't really know too much as well. So I think we're kind of all flying by the seat of our pants as far as bogey-proof picks go this week, but excited to add a 5th head to that Instagram that we do every single week and throw Paul's mug in there for a bogey-proof picks. But we'll start off. We're just going to go alphabetical. The first 2 characters couldn't make an appearance today, Eric and Joey, but Eric's riding the Tony Finau train down in Bradenton. Guy's been playing great. Hopefully he gets it done at some point. I'm hoping not this week just because I went in a different direction, but for Eric's sake and for 2 weeks in a row, let's hope it's Tony Finau. And then Joey went with your local PGA Tour villain, Patrick Reed. So we're just wondering which hole he's going to cheat on this week. But outside of that, there's quite a few bunkers, but I think there's quite a bit of waste area there as well. So I think when you bring a bunker and the question is it a bunker, is it a waste area into play, I think that's where Patrick Reed thrives. So looking forward to kind of see what he's going to do this week. Fontaine, what do you think about that pick? And then give the listeners kind of what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it actually kind of makes sense. Patrick Reed plays well at really difficult golf courses because his short game is so kind of above and beyond the average tour player, as crazy as that sounds, because those guys are obviously so good. And it's actually impressive how much he's able to like kind of separate himself in that remark. But so I'm sure he'll be around just given his short game. And whenever you get a difficult golf course on tour, I mean, it always is going to come down to the short game and who can make the 8-footers for par and 12-footers for par and all those things that you're going to have more of on a difficult golf course than you normally would. And nobody's better at that than Patrick Reed, I feel like, in the most recent memory. DJ kind of does it differently and just kind of dominates golf courses, where Patty Reed always seems to be like grinding out and making putts. I mean, he was right there at Wingfoot until a back 941 on Saturday. I mean, he was a leader there. So he plays well at difficult golf courses. So it makes a lot of sense. But like you also said, waste areas, bunkers, all that fun stuff. I'm sure he'll find a way to, move an object he shouldn't have moved or do something, just something to get our attention. That being said, I'm going to go with kind of like back to that national championship we talked about there. I'm just going to go with Bryson. He won it then. I mean, he's been kind of in I don't want to say a lull, but he hasn't been playing his best the last handful of tournaments. I think really since the Masters, that overhype, he's kind of been in a little bit of a funk since then, but I saw him back out there at Riv pounding balls late into the night after round 1 or round 2 last week. So I think he's back on his kind of I think he's back to being like prove people wrong versus like I'm expected to embarrass golf courses kind of mindset. So I'm expecting him to kind of bounce back. It's a big course. His distance, it's not necessarily tight either. So his distance should help him out, get a little bit shorter irons into these bigger greens. They're a little more difficult. But before we move on, shout out to Tiger, just, in memory of, his scare today. I saw, because he hosted, obviously the Tiger Foundation hosts the Genesis, or is part of the Genesis Invitational last week, whatever. They were showing like his ridiculous stat lines or whatever throughout his career. In like 2007, he won all 5 WGCs in the year. Like I think the person who has the most WGCs ever is him by a lot. And then like the next best is like DJ with 4 total. And he won like all 4 one year, or all 5, however many they are. I don't even remember. So speaking of WGC week, just figure we give, our guy a shout out because, he needs it right now. He needs a little boost.
Yeah, no, I love those types of stats for Tiger Woods. I think Justin Ray, great follow on Twitter for anybody that likes stats and related to golf. He put out his favorite stat was Tiger Woods. So Jack Nicklaus, his 4 last majors that he played in. So the last Masters he played in, Tiger Woods won. The last U.S. Open he played in, Tiger Woods. And then the last, Open and the last PGA that he played in as well, Tiger Woods was the champion. So
yeah, I saw that too. That's awesome.
That was super cool. Just kind of like one era kind of ending and another one, just kind of kicking into prime, or it was kind of the beginning of Tiger's career at that point.
I think the PGA was Valhalla. They're in the same group too on Thursday and Friday, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no. So I thought that was a really, really cool stat, and prayers for T-Dubs. But I think this week we talked a little bit about offline about I think Concession not being a Bombers golf course, but one that kind of requires really good iron play to make sure you get in the right quadrants to be able to have reasonable putts. One of the best iron players in the world, Tommy Fleetwood, has had some success earlier this year out in the desert. Always plays well in Florida. I think he won an Arnold Palmer at one point, or I don't know if he won I don't think he won, but he almost won one year.
Sanjay last year at the Honda. He was leading.
Yep, and lost to Sungjae. So I think a guy that plays well in Florida at least has the last handful of years, and would expect him to play well at a golf course that requires precise iron play. Paul, what's your guest pick of the week here for the WGC?
Yeah. I was going to hate myself if I did this. I'm not going to do that, especially with the whole waist bunker talk. I was going to go DJ. I don't know if he's still scarred from that. I know it was how many years ago? Gosh. But
10. It was in 2010 when Keimer won that.
Yeah, so I don't like picking favorites. I wasn't going to pick him anyways. And the waist bunker comment definitely turns me off. I'm out on DJ this week. I might pick him to be outside top 25 or something like that. I'm going to go Terrell Hatton.
Ooh, good pick, Paul. Good pick. Lord Terrell.
No clue how the guy's been playing, honestly. But just I'm trying to picture Concession in my head, and it's giving me like Seminole type vibes. And I think he, good ball striker. He's going to putt well, although he's been awful around the green this year. But I don't know. I think it's his week. he's got to pop off for a big one soon. I feel like he's in that category of guys that are just kind of lingering for a big win.
He's been winning in Europe.
Yeah.
He just needs to get the big one stateside, or the WGCs are always kind of a little bit above. And like you said, I think his stats around the green look bad because he hits his irons so well. So like his putting might not look great, but it's because he has 18 feet for birdie on every hole.
Yes.
So it's like it's one of those things because he won. What was the first one of Euro Tours? Abu Dhabi or something? I forget. Whatever kicks it off, but he won that. Beat Rory, like chased him down and kicked his ass on Sunday. So. Terrell hadn't complained. I think, like you said, the way he strikes the ball, usually, ball strikers at least are going to be able to hang around a lot longer at a difficult golf course than somebody that kind of is sporadic and relying on short game. They're just they're better set to, hopefully luck into a good week with the putter and, do something with it.
Yeah. Now, I just want to circle back quick to your comment with Tiger Woods and WGCs. Now, I pulled up Wikipedia here and looking at 2007. The WGCs he won. I mean, it was Bridgestone. I don't know where Doral. Then I'm going back. He won 2. So all the stroke play WGC events. I think he won every single one going back to like 2004.
Holy shit.
Like
he just didn't win the match play every year.
Just didn't win the match play. He
won it
because we had like
invitational times.
We had a stretch where like Hunter Mahan was like winning the match play.
Yeah, I remember that. I always remember Mahan winning that shit.
Yeah, but he's won like starting in the fall of 2005. He won every stroke play WGC for like 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. Every single one.
Money.
Yeah.
I mean, he won what, 6 times at Firestone or whatever? 7, something like that. Like, a handful at Doral.
And not easy golf courses back then. I feel like the WGCs have changed. They were playing Firestone. They're playing Doral back then. They did a tough golf course, and I don't know. I feel like they've kind of changed. Like, they go and play at TPC. What's that place in Memphis now? And it's like,
TPC Southwind.
Yeah.
Speaking of WGC match play, shout out Victor Dubuisson. That one time when he just like
shocked the
guy
world.
is a magician out of the desert.
Yeah, that
I could get up and down from
cactuses and all. I remember that against Jason Day, I think, or something too. Like kind of a horse. I think
great head of hair too. Great head of hair.
Yeah, there's
great
no way
visor.
Jason Day was going to
survive the weird visor going on back then too. Like,
yeah, he had like the full on goatee, and he was like 22, and it's just like this European guy that just like came out of nowhere.
He looked like the 40-year-old regular at like every Muni you've ever been to that wears like his shorts match his shirt, matches visor, matches shoes, matches belt. Like, like it's all got a shade of blue on it that goes head to toe, or it's all got a shade of orange or whatever it is. But it's that skinny Titleist visor, the goatee, like you said, orange, like Puma shirt, like simple shorts, but a hint of orange in there.
And then his closet it might have 15 pairs of plaid shorts. Like,
yes, exactly.
I got you.
Yeah. So shout out to Vicky D. But I think another tournament going on this week, WGC obviously is going to catch most of the headlines, but if you're watching at 7 o'clock to 10 on a Thursday night, or trying to catch, outside of normal hours, you'll probably catch a little bit of the Puerto Rico Open. Couple curses going on down there, but definitely an interesting tournament. Will anybody watch this tournament? Are you gonna watch this tournament at all? You got any eyes on this tournament?
Honestly, only like you said, if it follows the coverage and at concession. I mean, there's looking through the field quickly. There are some decent winners in the past, right? With Finau, obviously well known for that one with the whole curse thing. Hovland, there has been some good winners in the past there, but looking at the field this year, it's kind of random. It's all over the place. You got David Duval in there, Smiley Kaufman. I have no idea how Smiley Kaufman's playing in a golf tournament right now. He hasn't broken 80 since it seems like 2015 when he was like in the final group with Jordan through 2 rounds at Augusta and then shot 82 on Saturday. Yeah, all over the place. I really won't watch it unless it kind of is the only thing on and they're not either not playing at concession yet or it's after the fact. I'll watch it. Obviously, I'll watch golf over not golf, but I'm not going to pick it over the concession by any means.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're pretty much aligned with most golfers out there. For those that really only watch on Saturday and Sunday, probably won't catch too much of the Puerto Rico Open. But yeah, I think you kind of alluded to it as well. Interesting set of winners the last 5 years, and to note of the last 5 winners, it's gone over 7 years because they were off for 1 year. And then there was like a hurricane 1 year, so they played a pro-am charity event. So definitely one of those tournaments that's just like is super random and things seem to happen, so maybe it's worth watching. But last 5 winners: Victor Hovland, Martin Trainer, God, he's terrible. DA Points, outside of when he won that had that stretch when he won Pebble Beach with Bill Murray and then almost won again. Not a great golfer. Tony Finau, like you said, has had a really great career the last 5 years or so, but just hasn't been able to get it done since he won in Puerto Rico. And then I only put Alex Sajak won in 2015. I watched him hit golf balls one time. He came up to Great Horse. He played in the Pro-Am before the Travelers, and he was so interesting. His fiance was with him, and he was ripping drivers, and he didn't bend down to tee up a golf ball. It was on Wednesday. It was the Wednesday Pro-Am, and she just teed up every driver he hit. So I always think about him, and he was hitting golf balls. For a lot of our listeners haven't been there before, but there's a big building on the left side of the range. There's kind of a little pocket that really where he was teeing it up from. If he pulled it 10 feet left, he might have hit the building. And he was just hitting laser beam drives, just right down the left side, never bent down. His girlfriend, or his fiance, I think at the time, was just teeing the balls up for him. So, Alex Sajak, character, and actually Monday qualified into the senior tour event this week. So maybe keep an eye out from him, or if you like to bet the Champions Tour, he could be a pick. But yeah, wild story from him. Let's dive into picks. Matt, why don't you get us started here?
Yeah. So this week, again, field all over the place. Couple big names that I'm actually kind of surprised aren't there. Maybe it's because they're Euro Tour guys and the points system is a little weird and all that fun stuff for the official World Golf Ranking. But I'm gonna go with Matt Wallace. I mean, I really don't know his recent form just because he's always over in Europe. But I know that I feel like I see his name in kind of the bigger majors and stuff like that. He's honestly the most familiar one I could find in the list, if we're being honest, for good reasons, at least. Some of the other guys I recognize is wow, how are you playing golf? But for him, I feel like he might be one of the higher ranked guys in the field. So I'm going to ride with Matt Wallace, see if we can bully people down in Puerto Rico, because it's some people there I feel like don't belong.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I'm surprised he's playing this weekend that he's not in WGC, to be perfectly honest. But
yeah,
he finished top 5 in one of those desert events. So decent form. Speaking of someone who's played in the desert recently, Joey's pick for the week. He's gone back to the well, but Sung Jae's not in the field because he's playing in WGC, so he's going with the Rat. Kiradech Afriban Rat. Joey, I'm waiting for him to meet this. Joey and him are like long lost brothers. So I think they're destined to meet at some point. If Joey could hop on a plane and get to Puerto Rico, I think he would be a great looper for the Rat. But Joey's going back to the well. He loves the Rat. He brought his vape down there. He brought his 48 pairs of shoes. He's ready for a big week down in Puerto Rico. Paul, who do you like down in Puerto Rico?
The name just pops whenever I read it. It's Oliver Schneider-Jans. I have no clue. I miss his stinger, that low iron stinger. I need that back on TV more consistently. So I'm really hoping he'll get the dub this week.
Let's get a windy, maybe like a hurricane roll through Puerto Rico. Shout out Mikey, like you said. I think in the past it may have happened before. Let's get some wind going. Let's get Ollie hitting stingers. Let's get it on.
Keep it under the fan. Yeah. Also, there's
Fontaine. Speaking of hurricane, sorry to cut you off there, Paul,
no, but okay.
for those people that don't subscribe to the Bogey Proof Picks newsletter and get a little precursor to what the cocktail is of the week, I think we can chat about it now. The cocktail of the week is a hurricane. So be ready for that. I know we've said the hurricane a handful of times here, and possibly one is passed through Puerto Rico, but pretty sure one's passing through San Antonio here, and we're going to be making one on the back porch here this weekend. So, Paul, I'll kick it back over to you to kind of finish that thought on Schneider Jans.
I'm looking through the field, and is Omar Uresti? Is he in the field?
Oh yeah, he's in the field.
He's like,
what is wrong with this guy?
Right?
He won the senior PGA, so he has exemptions. Like whenever he has a handful of exemptions, but the guy has toyed the system. He was a PGA Tour player, and then he goes and he's like a teaching pro somewhere in Texas, and he's eligible for the PGA Professional Championship. What's that?
Yeah.
The guy was on tour for 20 years.
Oh, that is a crock of shit. Yeah, he shouldn't be allowed. That's
right.
Yeah. So we'll bring that up at the, if we show up at the PGA Professional Championship next year on media passes, I think maybe we get in the tent and harass him a little bit about what he's done over the last 20 years. So
we'll let him know. We'll let him know. He's hurting the little guy. Yeah. You had your fun. You had your PGA Tour.
But I'll dive into Eric's pick here. Eric went all Corn Ferry on us and went with Brandon Wu to get it done. Guys played great. Corn Ferry last year won in Indiana at Victoria National. Has played well at the U.S. Open before. Great career at Stanford. Definitely is going to be getting his tour and his tour card and be on the PGA Tour next year. But looking to expedite that process and get a win this year. And finally, I'm going with someone who had some success in Mexico earlier this year. Emiliano Grillo played really well in Mexico. Almost beat Victor Hovland down the stretch. Him and Tom Hogue, I think, were in that final group with Hovland that week, and I really I like his game. I think back when he first came on tour, he really only hit this fade, and he said one time, and it caught my ear, when he plays his fade, he envisions a wall being built on the left side of the fairway, and he just peels it off the wall, and he just makes sure that there's no way that he hits it left of the wall. He's like, if I overcut it, that's fine, but I'm not gonna hit it left of this wall. So I think that's probably kind of an interesting visual for a lot of people out there, and maybe when you hear people talk about, eliminate one side of the golf course, you really don't know what that means. That's really what it means. Fonte, is that kind of something you think about when you're driving the golf ball? I know you're an illustrious driver of the golf ball, so I want to dive into your brain here.
I don't know if I've ever thought of a wall, but I definitely have that same thought of like I don't care if I overcut it, but it's not going left. Open it up, open that face, and hold that left hand is really more my kind of thought. I don't see any walls out there. Maybe that might be something new for me. I might try that this year, but I need to try it on the other side, I think, because I can't turn it over. So maybe I'll try to make sure I'll aim at the wall on the right and make sure I don't go any further right of it. I don't know. We might have to try that on the other side, but no, I'm more of a, like, hold that left hand as hard as you can. Even if you slap it and hit it 240, you're not going left of your target. So I guess it is kind of similar. I just don't see a wall. I just open it up and I say, I don't care if I slice it. I'm starting it left and it's going to go right from where it starts.
Yeah, no, that's super interesting. Paul, you have any kind of thoughts or maybe in other ways, demons that you kind of think about while you're out there on the golf course?
Oh, man. Depends on the day. I mean, this summer, I was COVID and everything. I know everyone's had a lot of time to, start enjoying the game of golf. And I was able to, with work and living in Boston and everything like that, it's difficult to, and it hurts a checking account to try and play golf around here. So I was lucky enough and I was able to get down the Cape a lot more this summer and really focus on the game a lot more and trying to rear myself back a little bit and just try and find that consistency with the irons and the wedges, focus on putting, really work on play the game backwards kind of was my mindset, and trying to grow into that where it's, get myself to the 100-yard mark, hit the wedge in, no longer let's just try and blow over this corner 330 with a high cut. It's instead, hey, maybe hit the hybrid out here to the left, hit a little punch around the corner, and then, hey, there's got to open, nice look at birdie. So that's really, it's, I guess, yeah, mentally I've just been trying to like rein myself in and trying not to
managing the golf course now.
Yeah, try not to hit driver 340 every single time. Yeah. Which I still love to do it though.
Yeah, no, I mean, a little Saturday matinee round after you kind of worked on the game all week, or played, or you got a more competitive one on Sunday, you might let it rip out there and just kind of get back to bomb and gouge kind of style. But sometimes you gotta think your way around the golf course, especially if you're trying to fine tune the game, make sure you're hitting different shots, work on whatever else. It's not always, like you said, depending on where you're playing, especially if you're a member somewhere and you play the same course all the time. If you hit the same clubs off the tee all the time, you're only going to hit the same clubs in the greens for the most part. Sometimes it's good to, mix it up and think about, like you said, play the hole backwards. Be like, all right, I want to, I need to work on my irons. So I need to stop just hitting driver and flipping a wedge in here when I'm going out after work or whatever. I need to actually work on my game. So let me hit a hybrid. So I have to hit a 7-iron into this green and, think about stuff a little bit differently, or make yourself hit different shots. So that way, sometimes you can actually trick yourself with that too. And you make it easier when you go back to hitting a driver and then having wedges. We could do a whole other episode on this, but like, there's so many different ways you can trick yourself with golf and like with the mental side of it to make things seem easier than they are, seem more difficult. A lot of times we always make things more difficult than they are with golf. But I think, like you said, kind of sometimes taking that step and thinking about it, play the hole backwards or whatever it may be, just something to change your perspective or almost pivot it, especially when you're in the practice mode and you're not trying to score. I think it's a really good way to make sure you're not just hitting the same shots all the time, but make sure you're really comfortable with all of them because that's when you're comfortable with all the golf shots, that's when you're going to play your best golf. Because you don't get to a certain club and you're like, oh shit, here we go. Like, where's this going to go? Like, you got to be able to hit them all. So
yeah, like playing the game, hitting driver off every tee box possible is fun. You get that instant gratification if you're hitting the ball straight, if you're hitting it straight. If you're not, then it just becomes a very stressful round of golf. So if you rear it back, have a game plan going in, have some course management going, I've found that now it's more fun at the end of the day because maybe a couple bucks are getting passed my way. Maybe I'm getting a few beers, other people are paying for me, that kind of thing. And you're just playing good golf. And so at the end of the day, seeing that a 7 and then a low number there is a lot more enjoyable than seeing a snowman and I don't know, something else.
You definitely get a lot more consistent when you really get that golf course management side down. Obviously comes with knowing where you're playing, but I think it's a good way to get, even if you don't go crazy low because of it, you're at least, like you said, taking out the doubles or whatever it may be that would come from a lack of golf course management. And you kind of tighten your range from, 70 to 82 for more down to like 70 to 77 or 72 to 77. Like, you just kind of consolidate and you get a more consistent body of work where once you get that consistent body of work, you're much easier able to identify what you got to work on, versus if you're in the trees all day chipping out, like you don't need to work on chipping out, like it doesn't let you see what parts are really messed up other than, I only hit 7 fairways today, I hit more fairways, where it's like, you didn't have to hit driver all the time and you probably could hit more fairways and still, I don't know. I think there's a lot there.
There for sure is. There's a lot going on up here, man. A lot.
No, Paul, I appreciate your points on that because I think a lot of people that are kind of just getting into the game could learn a little bit from kind of taking a step back and, maybe looking at the golf course backwards and saying, hey, what angle do I want to come in at the pin? Or, I'm kind of struggling with my sand wedge today, or I'm, I haven't really practiced that all too much, but I'm really comfortable with my 9-iron. Like, who's to say you can't play to those strengths? I think once you kind of evolve in your game, obviously you want shorter clubs in your hand and can go after some pins and make some birdies. But I think kind of as you're finding your game and for even really strong golfers, right? When you come out of the gate in the spring, usually your game's not too tidy. Kind of think about like, hey, how am I going to manufacture a score and win this match today in April? Your game in April doesn't have to be your peak August game, right? Like golf's just about getting into the hole and finding a way. So I appreciate kind of bringing up those thoughts of course management and all that good stuff. I think that's the caddy in you, and you really can't get away from it from all those summers at Wannamoysit. But boys, I appreciate you jumping on here, and I think we're coming up on an hour here, and it's been a pleasure to chat with you guys and catch up, and hopefully we're spending some time on a golf course soon, or having a couple beers in the 19th hole, sooner rather than later. Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for having me.